welcome back to AWS On Air at Reinforce. My name is Marie Carlton. You saw me yesterday. I am still a manager of Partner Solutions Architecture at AWS, and I am really excited to be joined by my co-host, Brian, today.
Hey, my name is Brian Terry. I'm a senior developer advocate on the CloudFormation team, and I'm super excited about today's session. We have a special guest here. How about I let him introduce himself?
Hey, my name is Arvind Muthukrishnan. I head up product and design for Wickr, a service that we launched in preview yesterday.
Yes, and I'm really excited to learn about Wickr. I know that I don't want to get ahead, but I know AWS acquired them, and so wanted to hear a little bit about what that journey has been like so far.
Oh yeah, sure. I think we have integrated quite well the last year into AWS. AWS acquired Wickr June 2021.
Okay.
It's been 14 months.
Yeah.
It's been a great journey so far, and as a part of the next step in our evolution, we have launched a SaaS native service in preview yesterday, which brings a lot of goodness from what we have learned from customers.
Oh, super interesting. So you say you launched a new service. So, let's get down to it. Like, what was the original problem, and how did you solve it by this launch?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I think when we acquired, we kind of embarked on a journey to understand from our customers as to what are the next things that we need to build. So we had a very good SaaS offering. Like our encryption is extremely strong. So we provide advanced security for all the communications. There are flexible administrative controls to manage users in their network. However, our SaaS product lacked a way for organizations to own their data and retain their data flexibly in a way that they can meet their auditory and regulatory requirements. You would have heard from like different news articles that highly regulated industries are in some hot water because they use unapproved consumer apps for sensitive comms. So that's the problem we are trying to solve, which is we provide you the advanced security that you need through our encryption, while we also ensure you have a way to own the data that you create so that you can produce it for auditory and regulatory needs.
Super interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's obviously really important. Like you mentioned, having that secure end-to-end encryption across the board for our data, is a hot topic these days. But yeah, I'd love to jump in. I'd love to see what the experience looks like.
Yeah, let me actually share a small video of how the experience looks like.
Awesome.
And we are primarily communications product. So we highly emphasize on the experience of communications. So here's the demo room that I created. As you can see, there are multiple options. You can take a photo, share photos, share location. A lot of our customers actually use the location and file sharing features because everything you do within the app is encrypted. So for a lot of rescue missions, people rely on our location sharing feature because no one else can know the location of the people who needed to be rescued. Only the mission operators can actually understand that. So that's the kind of scenarios we solve for when it comes to public sector customers. And on the commercial sector side, we have a lot of our customers use the file sharing feature where they share PII, PHI data in and out in a very secure way.
Yeah, and so for people watching, this is a mobile demo, right? So this is what the mobile experience looks like for customers.
That is correct. And we have some great features. As you can see in the screen, voice memos, we allow people to kind of cross the language barriers and record themselves, share it with others, because it's critical in rescue missions again, right? If you look at like some NGOs, we had a session today with Freedom Shield where they actually use Wickr to fight against human trafficking. They have operations in Afghanistan and many places where they don't understand the language and they want to interact with people in their local language. So they have translators. The people who needed rescue leave a voice message, and the translators of the mission team kind of understand, translate it to the team, and help them kind of get rescued.
Super interesting. I just want to go back a little bit. You talked about data governance. Can you talk a little bit about how that works with an encryption product?
Absolutely. So let me also show you kind of how our product works and how we think about governance, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the screen, whenever someone sends a message, so let's say in this case Anna sends a message to John, the message is encrypted from the sender's device, and John is the only intended recipient, so he only has the keys to decrypt the message. So we ensure that access to the message is controlled, and our cryptographic protocols ensure only the right people can actually decrypt the message. But the key thing is um, there's been a lot of interesting discussions with customers where they ask us, well, you say it's end-to-end encrypted, but you also say we can see the data. Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of oxymoronic. So what we have built is something unique. So we understood that customers want complete ownership of data. So the way we have built data governance is that if your organization turns on data governance, we allow the organization to host a compliance bot in their environment. It's not hosted or managed by AWS. We allow the customer to host it in their environment so that even AWS do not have access to see any of the data. So the data gets, and the bot is also an encrypted endpoint, which means when Anna sends a message to John, the message gets delivered to John, it gets delivered to the bot, and the bot has the right encryption keys to decrypt that message. And the customers can also configure where that message should sit. In their environment, they can set up a data server and retain all the data in a very flexible way, depending on the policies that they want to manage. And the key thing being, both the compliance host and the server resides in the customer's environment. It's not hosted by us.
Super interesting. So when we're looking at this model and we're talking about communication between John and Anna, there's no latency there, right? There's just streaming communication. They don't have any kind of drawback under this kind of scenario, right?
Correct. Yeah, they just continue business as usual. Our policy engine takes care of ensuring that the right messages are delivered to the right recipients, which includes the compliance bot in some cases.
Yeah, and I love how you guys thought of that customer use case of, well, you're saying the data is encrypted, but you have the data. So I love that there's that option where it can be completely hosted on that customer's infrastructure.
I can imagine this comes up with like gRPC and stuff like that, or just storing your data in different places.
Especially for our public customers who operate in regulatory boundaries. This is super important because it is very important for them to ensure that there are no data leaks, there are no vulnerabilities, and we promise the highest level of security because we let them own the data, and it's not stored in a cloud that's accessible to everyone.
No, definitely. So now that we've seen the conversation flow, can you kind of walk us through the architecture a little bit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are multiple components involved in here, right? So I think in general, at a high level, we have components that's hosted and managed by AWS, and we have components we let customers host within their boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have admin console, which is hosted and managed by us. This is where administrators can actually, apply policies, set up users and whatnot. And we also have a Wickr backend, which orchestrates a lot of these things. And on the customer's environment, we have the host and the storage, like I've showed. So the way it works is administrators go to the console, and they turn on compliance. By default, data governance is off. Administrators have to intentionally take an action to turn on governance. And once they do it, they get a compliance host that they can deploy in their environment. And as a part of that deployment, they can also configure where the data should get routed to in terms of a data server. We have S3 integrations out of the box. You can use a regular S3 bucket or an encrypted S3 bucket so that you can keep the encryption story throughout, even at rest. So we provide out-of-box integrations, but we also provide the flexibility for them to configure any data server they want at the end of the day. And so once they configure that, once the host is active, we get a signal back from the host. The backend understands that the host is active, and the server takes care of propagating the changes to the clients. And the clients immediately understand for their particular organization, governance is turned on, and all the messages start getting routed to the compliance host.
Wow. No, that's awesome. I'm hoping, do you have a demo for us for this?
I do.
Awesome.
I mean, it's always good to have a demo.
I love the best part of this whole thing.
Exactly. So,
awesome.
So this shows three things. One, admin console, obviously. So I've logged into my AWS console. I'm accessing the Wickr product, and I'm going to hit on Manage Network. You'll be single signed on into the Wickr admin console, and you can manage your network here, users and everything. So I'm going to go to Network Settings, and I'm going to go to Data Compliance. This is where you kind of control compliance for your environment. And as you can see, compliance is turned off right now. So you get a Docker image, which you can install, and for demo purposes, you have the Docker actually running. That's the window down beneath.
Oh, wow.
And again, you get a username for the bot, and a challenge, which is particular to the bot. So we make sure that whenever the bot is getting deployed in the customer's environment, the encryption that we have carries over to their environment. So there is the challenge that you have to kind of authorize, and only the admins have the capability to authorize that. So as you can see, now the compliance is turned on, and the moment it's turned on, the clients get a notification saying governance is turned on, and then they acknowledge, and all the messages from now will be kind of retained in a good way. Now, I'm going to send a couple of messages and just show you how things are getting recorded. Okay. So as you can see, every time I send a message, you would be able to see if the keys are getting managed, they are getting rotated. Okay. We make sure that even with the bot that's running on the customer's environment, there is proper key management and key rotation, which is a core part of our cryptographic protocols, are actually carried out. Yeah. And you can also see in the logs that it's getting probably recorded in the S3 bucket. So for demo purposes, we have configured an S3 bucket.
So for folks that maybe don't trust the automation of it, they get to see it in real time, making sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Exactly. And now I will go to the console again, and I'm going to go and access the S3 bucket, just to show how the data is recorded there. So I'm going to go to my S3 account and click the bucket in which I have recorded this conversation. And as you can see, I've sent 2 messages. There are 2 copies over there. And everything happens pretty instantaneously, and all of this is orchestrated in a very clean way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you said that, because what I found super interesting is that this was a very powerful solution with encryption, end-to-end encryption and communication, and you literally turned it on in a couple clicks. I mean, I think that's super impressive, you know? Yeah. Wow.
No, that's awesome. And so I know you kind of mentioned it when we first started talking about Wickr, but what are some of the other customer use cases that you've seen?
Just to reiterate, we had this session today morning, right?
Yeah.
Like Freedom Shield Foundation is a nonprofit that kind of helps rescue like child trafficking and other people who are endangered. So like for them, we power a lot of scenarios. One of the cool scenarios that, and we spoke about location before, one of the other cool scenarios is that because they are operating in a very hostile environment to save these people, they have to kind of be obfuscated from monitored networks.
Yeah.
Because everything they need to do should be secure to the maximum extent as possible. So we have a feature called Wickr Open Access, which allows customers to obfuscate traffic. We jump through a bunch of global proxies to obfuscate traffic. And this ensures that the communication that happens between the people just stays one way with those people. Like it's not very easy to hack into it. So that's one way we actually solve for a lot of secure communication scenarios. And we have got a lot of our customers in the public sector users for incident response and threat discovery kind of scenarios too. So we have a great extensible story with Wickr bots where you can bring data in and out of Wickr in a very secure way. So we have customers who integrate us with their systems to understand if there is a threat detected, and it automatically spins up a room, puts the right people in the room, they can have conversations, make decisions, and then once the decisions are done, they can record those decisions, and those decisions can be updated in an external system. So think about it a way where customers kind of bring data in and out of Wickr, but all the conversations and decisions happen in an encrypted way so that the communications are protected.
Wow, that's awesome. And it sounds like such a need, especially in those stressful moments where you need to talk fast or work fast together, but want to make sure that conversation's secure and encrypted. Did you have a question?
Oh man, no, he's just blowing my mind right now how cool this technology is. I'm literally, after this session, I'm going to try to play with this. Well, I can't. I got to do another session after this, but I'm going to play with this today. I'm actually going to create some cool things.
Yeah, so for folks that haven't maybe heard of Wickr before AWS, or heard of Wickr last year, or heard about Wickr now, what are some of the things that people can do to get started?
Just to get started, right? I think, like I said, we've launched Preview yesterday. Our preview is at no cost. You can log into your existing AWS management console and monitor and control your network and all that goodness. You can host your data in a self-hosted way. you could visit our Wickr PDP page, aws.amazon.com/Wickr, sign up for the preview, and we can help you get started.
Man, you're talking directly to me. This is exactly what I'm going to do.
No, that's awesome. And for the folks that are watching live, obviously they didn't have a chance to be at any of the sessions or anything, but yeah, what would you recommend? Like, are there blog posts to check out or different customer use cases that they can find online?
Yeah, we actually have listed a couple of use cases even on our sign-up page.
Okay.
We also have a wickr.com website, which kind of highlights customer testimonials and other use cases, references that we have. And yeah, I think it's as easy as downloading our product and trying it out. The one thing I want to emphasize is we have given a lot of thought to how simple the experience should be. So it looks simple, but there's a lot of work that goes underneath to ensure that the right security postures are maintained. So it's a testament to the team as to how they have kept the experience simple, but ensured that the security is pretty good.
Wow, very cool. I commend you on this. It's like you did a great job. Like I said, it's a powerful solution and very simple to set up. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, I am.
Awesome. So yeah, as we're wrapping up here, I know that there's a few things we talked about before this session of kind of the key messages that we wanted to make sure our folks watching at home kind of keep in mind with this Wickr product. So what are some of the things that you want to make sure that our viewers remember signing out here?
Sure. I think a couple of things. One is you do not have to compromise security purely because you want to store data for regulatory purposes. I think you can get the best of both worlds, and that's the message we are trying to say. Like, our encryption is strong enough that not even AWS can actually decrypt any messages or content. It's completely controlled by our customer. They own the data, and we help them enable sensitive communications by ensuring that we give maximum security, but also enable them to meet their compliance needs.
Excellent.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I think the other thing too that obviously we went through the mobile experience pretty quickly, but I think remembering that that's an experience that you gave a demo on both, but remembering like how seamless that mobile experience was and what it can do for businesses, incident response, human trafficking, all the things in between.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Very flexible. Very cool. Like I said, it's very cool.
I'm going to look for you
Oh, yeah.
to message me on Wickr tomorrow.
Yes, I will.
I'll put together my own demo and send it over to make sure I
good.
did everything correctly. Awesome. With that, I know we are wrapping up on time here. So for those watching at home or wherever you are today, definitely if you have any questions, post it in the chat. Check out the Wickr aws.amazon.com/Wickr to learn more. And then hopefully you'll see us up here doing our own demos one day because we've learned so much today. But yeah, please stay tuned for our next session and join us here at AWS On Air at Reinforce.